Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Graham Potter's first match as Chelsea head coach ends in a draw. Tottenham collapse in their defeat to Sporting Lisbon. Liverpool gets back to winning ways with a late header from Joel Matip. And Haaland does it again for Manchester City as he scores a winner against his former club. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
That's right, Mustoe, and we also have a very special announcement to make. Premier League Mornings Live is heading to Philadelphia for our next Fan Fest, and we've partnered with Sport Changing to give a family a VIP experience on October the 15th and 16th. Enter now for your chance to win 4 VIP tickets with airfare and hotel included. All you've got to do is share a photo or a video of your child's team or their soccer skills to Instagram using hashtag MyPLMornings, hashtag MyPLMornings sweepstakes, and tag and follow at NBC Sports Engine and at NBC Sports Soccer. Pack your bags fast because the winner will be announced on October the 10th, and we're joining me, Mustoe, and all the team down in Philadelphia. Terms and conditions may apply. Okay, my friend, before we talk Champions League football and all that was going on in Europe, we've had a significant occurrence in I think we'd say of world standing. Last Thursday, the passing of Queen Elizabeth. I think a shock to many, and the speed at which it was announced, the reaction around the world. I think globally, Rob, it shows what esteem she was held, and England in particular, mourning somebody who has been a constant through many people's life and a bedrock of many of the good things that England stands for. So just thought we'd open the show, just paying our regards to Queen Elizabeth and some of the scenes we've seen on TV and going back in England.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. I mean, it's talk about a constant, for so many people that are alive today. She's the only queen that we've ever known, or any reigning monarch. Now, of course, that changes with King Charles III will be taken over, and the coronation of him will be another massive thing that we've all got to look forward to. I think just for those, Rob, that are watching or listening, if they have got access to BBC World, which is the BBC's kind of world service, there's 24 hours, it seems, constant kind of coverage of all the protocols, the guards. I mean, it's full out. This is a full historic, colossal, seismic event that's happened with the passing of the Queen Anne, from laying her body to rest and traveling around from Scotland down to England. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, isn't it, to see, gosh, this is massive history happening. And I think obviously the games last weekend, the Premier League were postponed. I think it was the right thing to do. There was a little bit of talk that it was an opportunity for the Premier League teams to kind of show togetherness, immediately afterwards. That's going to happen this weekend, Rob, because you're going to see,
it's a week later.
Coverage. Yeah, you're going to see everything from national anthems before every game, I believe, moments of silence. I think on the plan is on the 70th minute of games.
For 70
applause
years of service,
for 70 years of service. I mean, incredible service to the country through some very, very difficult times, world wars. Just a remarkable servant to the country that's very, very fondly, respected and loved. So that's something that people are going to be aware of this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing about her, Rob, and without name dropping in any way, I was fortunate to be in a company on 2 occasions. And I think the thing that people always say, and I've heard a lot of people talking about it, all over the country from different countries, in fact, saying she made you feel so at ease. It was almost like she was part of your family or somebody you knew. This woman who had this great position, who was the monarch of the country. And you're right. I think the pomp and ceremony that we've seen, some of the processes that are going through just give you a real sense of what history and what she's done, and the passing over to King Charles is going to happen. So Monday's going to be a very emotional day, I'm sure, for many in the country when she finally laid to rest. These hundreds of thousands of people queuing in London at the moment just to go, try and have a look and pay their last respects, which is very fitting for the lady. So, yes, I think quite right in just having a moment to just look back at a wonderful servant for England, Queen Elizabeth. Okay, mate, let's turn it to the football action. And buried amongst the worldwide news of what happened to the monarchy, we have a new manager at Chelsea. We have Graham Potter installed. His first match in charge of the football club. Happens to be his first time he's ever been involved in the Champions League. I suppose a lot of attention was to maybe what team he picked, what system he picked. He's had maybe 3 or 4 days with the players on the training ground where he can do a little bit of work, but not that much. But so a little bit of surprise, Robin, that I looked at the team, and my first thing was no Fofana, no Koulibaly. I mean, $130 million worth of centre-back talent sitting on the bench, Azpilicueta and Silva with a recognised sort of centre-back pairings. I know it kind of was a 4 with James and Cucurella, but sort of morphed into a 3, didn't it? Cucurella on the left-hand side. James played very high up on the right-hand side. And, a little sort of fluid Raheem Sterling from the left-hand side with Mason Mount, Jorginho Kovacic in midfield. And Havertz looked like he was playing more like a 10 underneath Aubameyang.
Yeah, that's how I saw it, Rob. Yeah, I mean, I think at the start, the graphic on Champions League comes up and it talks about a back 4, and you're like, okay, but I'll never, Graham Potter is, when we get the lineups that come into the studio, he's tough to read sometimes in his system. So I had a really good close look at it, and it was a 3. It was a 3 in the back, Rob. The Cucurella playing left side centre back, Thiago Silva centre back, and Azpilicueta. So maybe that's with Azpilicueta being a right fullback, Rob, and Cucurella being a left back, they're super comfortable to be attack minded, to be progressive in those outside centre back positions. Maybe that's why you didn't see Fofana and Koulibaly. I'm sure we will very shortly. So the interesting thing of that is Raheem Sterling. And it worked out. He plays a left wing back, allowed to play very, very high. Reece James, equally on the right-hand side. That's his best position, really, I think, Rob, because he's so good at going forward and creating and beating the last defender. And the crosses were quality, etc. I thought he played well. Sterling's the interesting one, Rob, because we know that, I'm not comparing the two in any way, but Leandro Trossard of Brighton, he doesn't mind a striker or a really attacking player as a wing back.
On the left side,
and Sterling scores a goal from there, coming inside on his right foot. Now, as the game wore on, I thought the 2 players that, at least one player that struggled to make an impact was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Rob. I thought he was quiet, struggled a little bit. I mean, this is home debut for the football club. Havertz was lively. As you said, he dropped in to be at the top of a diamond, really, in midfield with the 4 players there. Mount to the right, Jorginho holding, and Kovacic to the left-hand side. And I just thought, is Sterling kind of wasted as a wing-back where you might want to play him as the top of the diamond or whatever? I mean, this is all things that will shake out. But that was the first lineup for him. I thought Graham Potter, he came out in a black suit, Rob, with a black tie, which I think we're going to see a lot of over this weekend. And the Premier League has requested, not just suggested more than requested, suggested that managers wear a suit this weekend. We'll see, how that pans out. But no, I mean, the energy was there. It was a fast start from Chelsea, front foot football, dominating football, possession. I thought there was a real energy about the front players trying to get in behind. I thought Mount was really good at the start, and they created early chances. It just, of course, it ended 1-1. Okafor scores in the 75th minute, Rob, to make it 1-1. There's a kind of a late flourish from Chelsea. They could have done with a second goal, and they created plenty of opportunities for that second goal, but couldn't score it. They get the equalising goal. Bunch of subs after that, which we can talk about a little bit, Rob. But I just thought, just as a big picture thought, I liked his team. I thought there was energy about it. But this is the Champions League, Rob, and it's quality. And teams will always, have some things to hurt you. And, it's something that they will learn to get prepared for, get used to working with this quality. But I thought it was a decent start for Graham Potter.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I thought it was, with all that was going on as well, it was difficult for him. He'd had the minute silence. You've got the Chelsea pensioners. You've got the whole thing with the Queen going on. He's wearing the black suit. He's being respectful. I think all that, Rob, played into it. As you say, there was good energy from Chelsea initially. I think, there was a buzz, a new manager, got a good reception from the Chelsea fans. And found a way to get Sterling, who still looks their best forward player, whatever system seems to be played at the moment, which again is something he'll have to work out. I wrote the same thing. I thought, like, is Sterling going to be his Trossard in that Brighton look where you have a bit of freedom, can float in and join in? There was a couple of times Sterling did particularly well where he starts wide, but then he just plays it infield and goes and joins, and that's where he can be really dangerous coming off that left side and on his right foot. But I thought it was kind of an okay day for Chelsea, and an okay start for Graham Potter. He talked at the end. He was a bit disappointed, obviously, not to get the win. Would like a little bit more control in the second half, he said, of the game. That's something I'm sure he'll work on in training with his team. But I think it was one of those. It was always going to be a reasonably difficult start. First Champions League game. He's got a point. I think he'd be pleased with that. And we'll move forward. We'll get a better chance to kind of understand Potter and what he's going to do, and the players he's probably still working out. Who's his best 11, what's his best system.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the subs, Rob, because we saw Armando Broja come on, a player that we both kind of like and enjoyed last year for Southampton. I want to, he had an opportunity. See, there's another great chance he went through.
Yeah.
Was
he lost his cheek, wasn't it? 66 minutes they came on.
Yeah,
and Pulisic and Ziyech a little later. Yeah,
and Conor Gallagher came into midfield. In this system, with it like being the 3-man midfield, that is playing into Conor Gallagher's best position as a number 8 in that midfield, so that could work well for him. Christian Pulisic came on for Raheem Sterling, Rob, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Pulisic doesn't want to play as a wing back again. US international fan, or US fans in general, will be keen to see whether Graham Potter will find a position for
a fresh start, isn't it, for Pulisic?
It's a fresh start. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that because he didn't start in the first game. I think he wants a little bit of continuity to start Graham Potter, but of course, Christian Pulisic will get an excellent opportunity to prove himself to the next manager, and that's got to be the job for him, is to find a way into the side now. In this system, and I think he just changed a little bit. Pulisic could play as a wing back, but it's not like a normal wing back. I think with Potter, Rob, I think you really are encouraged and allowed to stay really high. It's not as though you're going to see the wing back as defending too much, particularly as Chelsea dominate a lot of games. He could play in the Havertz role, the top of that little midfield diamond. So there's a few spots he could play. But I thought the subs were interesting. I'm not sure whether Sterling would have been thrilled about coming off, Rob, in the game. But no, if they'd have gone on and win the game, then it would have been a really, really good day. Yeah. But it's a tough job. It's a tough job.
Just on that, mate, before we maybe move off, and it's not like it was an interesting sort of one of those debates. It was a radio kind of debate, and it was about Chelsea fans and Potter coming in, and some people suggested he hadn't won trophies, and he's a good young coach, a little bit like when Brendan went in at Liverpool after Swansea. It's a bit of a similar thing to that.
Yes.
There was this kind of debate on the radio whether do managers now have to go into football clubs like Chelsea and win players over, or do players have to win managers over? And it's a kind of thought of, back in our day, you had to win the manager over. It wasn't a case of the manager coming in and you going, "Nah, I'm not sure about this guy," or whatever. The manager would come in and he's the boss, and whatever he said goes. Times have changed. We're in a different era, different state of football, a different world in many ways. Is there... Where's Graham Potter when he stands up in that dressing room? Are all eyes on him, Rob? If you've got, and Fofana and Koulibaly were just two today, probably because of circumstance, and might not be fit enough or know the system, etc., etc. But there's going to be some big name players who are going to be unhappy not being in the team.
There are, and I think the answer to that question, Rob, is it depends on the club. And at Chelsea Football Club, because the history has been of firing managers very quickly, the power stays with the players,
so
where they can sit
the
there.
Players.
Absolutely. I think it changes everything. Like if you know that you're not on the team and like, I'm not playing, that you can sit there and wait, and there's going to be a manager.
Even with the new owner, though, Rob, who's saying he's bringing in a different culture, different personality.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that has been the culture at Chelsea. Now, if it's changing, and Todd Bowley is backing up his words that he said to Potter about patience, and this is a longer term project, he's got a 5-year contract, which sounds good. Then the players have to try and impress the manager, and that's how it should be. It really is how it should be. And you say that culture's changed. I mean, it has in football a little bit, but if it's going to be more of a long-term thinking at Chelsea Football Club, then the power rests back with the manager, and that's how it should be. I hope that's how it is. I hope he can look at the eyes of all the players in the dressing room and realize they're motivated, they want to play for him, they want to impress him, they want to make him happy, they want to be in the first team, they want to win things with Chelsea. That's what he needs to see and feel from his players. So I know what you mean, and this club has been the example of players can sit on their backside if things aren't going well, because they know there'll be a different manager that might play them in a few months, of a season. So that's changing. And just on that, Rob, before we do move on, in terms of the ownership, there was a lot made over the last day or so. But Todd Bowley did a big interview. I think it was when he was in New York City, and the quotes that made the headlines were talking about the Premier League could possibly learn from American sports in terms of extra revenues for the pyramid, for the league, whatever, in terms of an all-star game. And also he talked about a playoff for, relegation. Now, to be fair, I mean, Jurgen Klopp was first who was asked about it. And, when you start hearing the words all-star game with Todd Bowley right now, with some of the things that he said a couple of things about players coming through the academy, which isn't really accurate as well. Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne are both bought in from other teams that developed them in the younger years. So that's not helpful. Where do you stand, Rob? I mean, I can give my opinion afterwards. First, on him making these comments so early in his tenure really at the football club, and is there any legs in either of those two propositions?
I just think from a timing point of view, it's not ideal. I think you've got a new manager, you're a new owner, people are looking at things. I just think it's not ideal. But what I would say, Rob, and what I've not liked from a certain number of people across English football, where it's almost just rubbished in a manner that's disrespectful to a guy who's obviously been a successful businessman and elitist. That we know English football, we know what we're doing. This game, Rob, is big enough, and we should be broad enough to include other ideas and concepts and talk about them. And some might be wrong. And for Jurgen Klopp talked about, we got the Haaland goal tossers. Gavin Neville came out and said something like, we have to be careful of these US owners and things, which I thought was really disrespectful thing to say, personally. I think, listen, if there's ways the game can be improved and battered and more money can be going down the pyramid, I'm talking not just for 20 clubs who sit at the top, but down the pyramid, we should be open to some of those conversations. Now, timing for Todd Bowley, I don't think it's quite the right time.
Because he's new into the position.
I think he's new, and I think because of the situation, and I think people are waiting. It's a bit like, will we have the 4 quarters, and you get down the Ted Lasso thing and all that kind of stuff, which I think American football has gone beyond that now, and should be respected more than that. And I say conversations at some time at the end of the season or mid-season or whatever, if that's the right time, that those conversations should at least be heard and not thrown out. So that's where I stand on it. Other people may have the other views, and some, everybody's talking about, well, this is the Super League. No, it's not actually. It doesn't have to be the Super League, but there is maybe some things we can do that can help some of those clubs lower down the chain, as well as maybe bring something different, new to the Premier League.
Yeah, I think the All-Star thing is the most kind of like, wow, that's so different. And by the way, I agree with most of what you said there, Rob, about listening to ideas from a guy from a different country, and some of them are going to be good ideas, some of them maybe not. There's no reason why we can't debate and talk about any of them. My personal opinion of an All-Star game is I'm not you kind of get that with national teams in our sport when players go off and play with other players from different clubs to play for the national team in European Championships or in Copa Americas or in World Cups. I don't see, kind of talked about possibility of North versus South. We know the logistical the issue with the schedule of games is very, 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 very difficult. If there's a fun event that can raise some money for the pyramid, I mean, you'd look at it. I mean, I just think there'll be a different appetite for that as a European football fan. But why not talk about it?
Exactly. And also, be open to the conversation.
Exactly. Now, in terms of a relegation playoff, there's playoffs to come into the Premier League. I don't think that's a terrible shout at all. To have, the last position or something as a playoff game to stay in the league or to get relegated, that's not a crazy thing to say. Just on the Gary Neville comments, Rob, because I think I know where he's going with that, and I think it's something that I've thought about a little bit as well. And this is the power of the owners to change the fabric of the Premier League, and this is what Gary Neville's concerned about, Rob. We know that
fabric of Premier League or fabric of football.
Well,
it will be the whole pyramid.
It would affect the whole pyramid, wouldn't it? Basically, I think, again, I'm not a blimmin' lawyer on this stuff, but my understanding is that 14 votes and every one Premier League
14 votes to the Premier League
of the 20 can change anything. Anything this league does. Now, with more owners from overseas that might want to do some more random dramatic differences, 14 of 20, there's quite a lot of foreign owners, American owners that might want to see different things, playoffs, and who knows what it might be. And I'll be honest with you, as a kid, as a player, as an analyst, it scares me a little bit about what might happen if 14 owners do get together and say, you know what, we're going to have, this playoff, or we're going to, they could do anything, Rob. They could do anything with those 14 votes.
They could, Rob.
So that's where I think he's coming from a little bit. Maybe it's a heavy
maybe. I didn't. Well, if so, I just didn't think it was well put across.
Yeah, it's heavy. It was heavy.
It was heavy, and I just think as well, Rob, the Super League thought they could do what they wanted, and tell you what, football fans won't allow, mate. Football fans will not allow. If 15, 16 vote and the fans decide that's not going to happen, we've seen already, mate.
Yeah,
if that's not going to happen,
they won't turn up.
It won't turn up. Games won't be played. It will not happen. So, listen, those are conversations for another day. And listen, bringing in people like Todd Bowley, successful billionaire businessman, I think at times we should be trying to pick their brains of ways we can move this game forward. But listen, it's an opinion for everybody. Everybody has an opinion out there on football, and we all should be listened to. Let's move it on to Tottenham Hotspur, because Antonio Conte's not quite getting what he would like from this Spurs team. And I remember doing the game last week against, I think it was Marseille, where I said sloppy Spurs and not great. Again, we see a Spurs, Rob, that in terms of squad now, I think that from the start of the season, we all looked and went, wow, good business, early business, deepish squad. We saw a pre-season that, he's supposed to beast the players, got them to the fitness levels he wants, a definition of playing that's been carried on from last season. And yet still, Rob, it doesn't quite all add up to me. It's not quite where Conte wants. It's not quite where an Antonio Conte team that he's confident in. He sits on the side, mate, and he knows them. We're not going to concede. This team are not that yet.
No, they're not that yet. They're trying to be that tight defensively because that's what's kind of held him back, I think, Rob, in some of the attacking play. To be fair, in this game, I really enjoyed the game, by the way. I really enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
I thought they were more proactive, actually. I thought they'd try to play a little bit more than they normally might expect away from them in the Champions League. I thought they were a bit expensive. We saw Richarlison start again instead of Kulusevski. Yeah. I just thought they were quite lively and they had chances which they didn't take. And it was kind of in the balance. Now, yes, there's something lacking from Tottenham. Now, when you look at the front players available, it's their qualities in the players. They've got plenty of quality there. I still think they lack some quality in certain spots. I'm not a big fan of Emerson Royal on the right wing.
The right wing back is a key position for that. Yeah. In that system, it's key. He's not good enough going forward, Rob, and he's not a good enough defender for that system for Antonio Conte's team. in my opinion.
Because and the midfield players are going to sit behind the ball, Højbjerg and Bentancur or whatever, and that would presume it might change a little bit. I thought Perisic looked good on the left-hand side. Played a lovely ball in, didn't he? Brilliant ball in. Just a little bit too far off him. So it's not a mile off. And the 2-0 was a bit harsh on them. The second goal comes really, really late. Lovely individual goal, wasn't it, by Arthur? I think it is the white player. I think he came on as a sub and scored a lovely goal. Yeah,
both subs actually. Both goals were substitutes. Paulinho came on as well.
Yeah, he got the flick on at the near post edge between two Spurs players. And fair play to Sporting. Great atmosphere, big stadium, good history. First time they beat, I think, English opposition for 10 years or whatever. But I got to pick out one. I mean, from the first half, kind of 0-0, wasn't it? I think at half time. Yeah. Marcus Edwards' run. The run.
Maradona-esque.
I mean, wasn't it? I mean, it was like, wow.
I didn't know much about this kid at all, Rob, to be honest. Obviously, was at Spurs. Obviously, played against
the youth teams, I think. Never played a senior game, I don't think.
But people are starting to say, like, possible England.
Yeah.
Call up. Another kid who goes abroad, apparently said, still said he wants to come back to the Premier League, prove himself. And I tell you what, it looked lively. It looked good legs, lively. That run he had was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Messi and Maradona rolled into one. I mean, he's obviously got that lovely way with that left foot and the way that he moves. Played a little 1-2. I mean, you want to see him score that. I mean, it's a good save from Loris in the end. But what an unbelievable run that was from young. I think he's only 23. He's like 23 or younger. So he's a young player that obviously, felt he had to go abroad to try and get on. And that was a highlight of the first half. But not much else to say really on Spurs, Rob. I mean, again, I thought it was in the balance. It could go either way. And it's an away from home game in the Champions League. It's not going to be easy. So I just don't think that.
I'm just a bit disappointed. Like, I just don't think they're playing that well, Rob. Considering what they've got, I don't.
You mean the build-up play and And
I
thought it was a bit better this game. They tried to.
I mean, Harry came short. They tried to get in a couple of times. Charleston's a bit unlucky one time. I mean, Sonny no goals again is going to become an issue. If it's 3 from 4. And he's played all the games and yet to score in any game this season. At some point, you're going to have to go Kulusevski, Richarlison, Kane, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. Well, you think so, but didn't he say that he'd be mad and crazy to leave out Heung-min Son as if he loves him as a player? But you're right. I mean, whether it's not the service, whether it's just something's not quite right at the moment there, or not quite as how we might have expected. But it's a tough game, and it was 1-0, like it was 0-0 right to the 90th minute, 89th minute or something. So Still a little off. Just one little thing, Rob. Again back to the Queen and stuff like that. I read that Antonio Conte went to Buckingham Palace when it first happened, paid his respects, and he said some really nice words about the Queen, and I just thought it was classy from Antonio Conte. Maybe you wouldn't have expected him to go down. He walked down there, I think, and was just at Buckingham Palace when the news first broke. So I made a note of that and thought it was nice to mention.
It's a good shout actually. So it was their first defeat of the season for Spurs. But Conte, still got a bit of work to do to get the balance right, I think, between the defending and the attacking threats. Let's move it to Liverpool, my friend, because there was a few eyeballs on this one. Obviously, the defeat to Napoli last week had everybody talking, and Klopp's talking about one of the worst performances he's had as a Liverpool manager. So this one had a bit of meaning, didn't it? And it was against a decent Ajax team who apparently have lost, I think, up to 10 players they've lost and lost the manager. So brilliantly put together, technically smart, play good football, can work the ball in wide areas and create chances, scored a beautiful goal and was in the balance at one point. And Joel Matip comes up with a great goal. And it was funny, Rob, because as I was watching the game, doing my little notes, I just thought, we don't have an underappreciated player of the European week, but Joel Matip, mate, is that guy. I mean, Virgil van Dijk's the headline maker and all the others. Gomez comes in, Canute's played games and others. He comes in, he does his job, he gets a goal. He's better in possession, Rob, than people think. Often he's the one who'll come through in the midfield, break lines and pass the ball. And he's like the Liverpool, what you're going to get player. And it's almost like that's what Liverpool needed to get back to. And I think we saw a bit of that. We started to see a bit of that in this game.
Yeah, I think he's had his injury issues. I know that
Mm.
Ibrahim Konate, maybe the long-term partner for Van Dijk, is still out injured right now.
Yeah.
And he shook it up a little bit, Rob, with the front line. It was Luis Diaz on the left, Diogo Jota through the middle of Mo Salah. It kind of looked at times like Jota playing deeper in behind two narrow forwards, almost like a diamond with two strikers and one in behind. I think they do something a little differently in and out of possession. I thought they looked lively, very fluid. The long ball, the goal came from a long ball. The three of them combined, connected. And good goal from Mo Salah. I thought Salah looked sharp. I mean, there's a as you'd expect after the last European game against Napoli, there was a reaction. It was better. And I think I remember saying, Rob, on the pod, like, this is rethink time. And I think Jurgen Klopp said, like, we got to have a conversation with the team. And I think he's done that. And it needed it. Absolutely needed it the way that they're playing. There was a couple of times again. And I feel like I say this all the time, Rob. And you know where I'm going to go with this. The goal conceded again is Trent Alexander-Arnold just not thinking and acting like a defender.
Look, it's obvious.
And then everybody gets pulled over and they get outnumbered. Van Dijk's got two players and they score one of them.
It's obvious that the opposition are having the same conversation we're having on the podcast.
Yeah.
Stephen Bergwijn stuck out there. He goes running into a position, Trent, where the guy runs behind him. I don't know where he's thinking he's going towards the ball. He's
nothing there.
Gets played down the side, gets beaten in there, and as you say, the goal comes. And listen, if you're a coach and you're scouting and you go watch Liverpool, and you think where you can get hurt than where you can get touched. Right now, you're going to say, and Trent's got to. When you said it needs a rethink, Liverpool, Trent's also got to rethink his game, Rob, a little bit. And we know what he can do in possession. We know how good he is.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant in this game.
Brilliant.
He was good.
Shots and crosses and things. But he's also got to realise, as a mature experience, I think he's 50 Champions League games now, the youngest, one of the youngest players. 50 already. But he's also got to realise that he's got to become a better defender, mate. And he can be a better defender.
Yeah, but how long are we going to keep saying this? And to be fair to Jurgen Klopp, is he not going to or is he just like okay with it because he's so good going forward?
Any other position, if you're saying Youngman's, is Antonio Conte saying Youngman's son will play? Is he saying, it doesn't matter, Trent gets beat? At some point, if you're getting beat and Trent's becoming a problem, you have to deal with the problem. And I know he wants to back him up, and I know he had a bit of criticism with England, and Klopp felt it was unfair. And at times it was anything that happens, Trent. But also as a player, Rob, at his age now, he's got to start to improve that. They're still learning. There's still time for learning. There's still time to get better. He isn't like the finished article right now.
Do you think that he's just not? He just wants to be in a midfield position. That's the problem, yeah. Like, should Klopp be trying through at the back?
Yeah. Well,
play him as a wing back.
If that gets him out of the situation, it affects other things on the pitch. At times, these times that I feel, Rob, he sometimes forces himself into the attack, though. These times when he's brilliant, these times when he's making runs and he's blocking out Salah. And I'm thinking, does he really need to go there? But it looks like a bit overkill.
But mostly when he's forward, he's passing, he's crossing. He had a shot, didn't he? He's such a good footballer. He's such a lovely footballer. It's just, would it take away from his attacking game if he was having to put more energy into defending?
A little bit more energy. Yeah. For me personally, I think he can tilt the balance a little bit. I'm not saying sit at the back and don't go forward. I'm saying be conscious in certain moments and different times of the game. I'll just sit here for 5 minutes and not go flying on. I'll just be, do my turn. Because we've seen him do it in moments, in spells, in games where he looks like he's got his proper head on and he looks like he's defending.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a negative reaction to this game. No, Liverpool, I thought performance was back to really strong. They would have loved an earlier second goal. Yeah, to try and to get it because the performance deserved it. I thought they were back to.
I thought Thiago was really good, Rob. I thought Thiago was really good.
Oh God!
I mean, I tell you what, as well, he surprised me, Bill. He didn't half hunt the ball down quickly in that as well. He's better out of possession than people give credit. It's not like win it and give it to me. A few times when it gets turned over, he goes steaming in to win it back, and he's passing, his craft. I think they've missed him. I think he's been.
I thought when he's been out. Yeah, he was particularly silky in this game. He was particularly good. His composure, his passing, his. I mean, he took care of the ball so well, and you're right, he does it. So he is such an important player now, given Liverpool's kind of approach now, with it being a little bit more possession and the territory being super, super advanced. You need players that don't give the ball away, because if you give the ball away, the ball's going right over the top of your defending side of it, straight away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought Harvey Elliott again. It's a different type of midfield than it was a few years ago, Rob. And you got Henderson, Fabinho, and Wijnaldum that work their socks off to protect the back four. It's a little different, and I think we've seen that where it sometimes puts their defense under more pressure because they don't stop the opponents from making those passes a little bit more. But the main headline is good reaction from Liverpool. Left it late. They've done that a few times, of course, but it was a much better performance, and that's really what Klopp wanted out of the game.
It was a good stepping stone, wasn't it?
It was expected to be Ajax at home, but it was tight and tense. Where an earlier second goal would have avoided all that.
You'd like to think that kickstarts them a little bit and gets them going in the league now, and getting one or two players back into the squad's helpful as well. Let's move it to Manchester City, mate, because this was an interesting one against Borussia Dortmund. I mean, I was watching the Chelsea game and had an eye across this one.
Yeah, it was two screens.
Trying the two screens and kind of back and forth a little bit. But it was a Borussia Dortmund team that came to frustrate, was compact, was difficult to break down. Almost like a 4-3-3, but very narrow, no space between the lines. Defenders dropping deep, not allowing Haaland space to go in between. And when Dortmund take the lead, you're thinking, "Oops, is this the blueprint? Is this Haaland not really getting much of a look in, particularly against his former team? Maybe lots of Hummels and them know how to play, against him and all that. And you're just wondering whether it was going to be one of those days. And then two bits of one unlikely score, John Stones from distance, and then one very likely score with an incredible finish off an incredible pass, and City are where City are, mate. And there was a great shot of the second goal, how Dortmund were compact and central, and they were letting City go, and it was like, Cancelo or whether Foden was on, they can put those cross balls in now that we talked about, and if that's Sergio Aguero, I don't know if that goes in, mate. If that's Gabriel Jesus, I don't know if it goes in.
No.
With the big monster that they've got up there now, it put that service in, and he's going to finish it. I mean, his foot must have been 5 foot in the air, by the way. When he
more
goes,
than that, like a high jumper. I know, it's incredible. He goes for that finish a lot. He loves that kind of flying kick. Like he got his foot to it, and the ball is amazing. I think it's for people who haven't seen it. It's outside the right foot. I think he's done a few of those, by the way.
Yeah, they've definitely got something.
Yeah. So you got that supply. You get De Bruyne's crosses. That's what City are going to be all about. And as long as he's fit and he's able and he's in the centre, he's going to finish those crosses off. It's a different way of playing, but again, a great example how City have tweaked things to get the best out of their number 9. And, a stunning goal. It was nice, he didn't celebrate the goal. And, he's obviously close to some of these former teammates afterwards. There's some nice reaction. I mean, Jude Bellingham gets the goal, Rob, and it's, he kind of snuck in there and got the headed goal there. I mean, just in terms of how far City could expect to go this year, and we probably talk about it every Champions League pod, I still have concerns about the team's desire to defend. I still do, and they might blast away to the top by him scoring so many goals.
I'm not sure they'll win it with their need, that attention to defend. They'll win it because they'll outscore and outpossess. I think that's
what they'll go for. And now they feel they got a striker that they can do that even better than.
Correct. Yeah. I mean,
also, Rob, just on some of the changes, and we know that Pep makes rotates and stuff but they got the better players on. They got Phil Foden on. They got Bernardo
he
Silva
said, didn't he? We were in the wrong gear until I made the changes. I heard him after did an interview just before we jumped on the pod, and he said, we started the game in exactly the wrong gear. Till I made the subs, we didn't pick up the right rhythm.
So Jack Grealish keeps coming back to him, doesn't it? 100 million pounds, wasn't he, Jack Grealish? It's not working, is it? It's not working.
It isn't at the moment, mate. He's not having significant influence on this team. You look at Haaland, and again, I was listening to some debates last night and saying it's not just Haaland finishing. He's gone into that dressing room. He's imposed himself on it. He's almost making players play a certain way because he's delivering. Jack, not the same case. All this talent, very talented, lovely combination footballer. You would think it would fit right in with that passing move style. I know he probably plays a little bit. He's maybe a bit more of a dribbler than maybe some of the other City players, but I don't know. Something just hasn't quite worked. Where I'm still waiting for a big Jack moment, mate, and we're 14 months into his turn now. I can't really see one of those things when he drops his shoulder thing, bends one in from 25, and you go, wow, well played. I haven't had one of them moments yet.
No, and I think the simple facts are that Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden are better. And they're in the wide positions. And it's not as now like he can play at the 9. There's a new 9. So there's only 2 spots for him. Well, it's 1 spot, wide left.
Yeah.
And, Phil Foden is the better player on that spot. And Bernardo Silva, brilliant on the other side for Riyad Mahrez, who was equally disappointing as well on the right side. So I think it's becoming a very much I think we said before, there wasn't much drop-off when different players play. Maybe there's going to start be a drop-off. You've got Cancelo, you've got Foden, you've got Bernardo Silva that dribbles and combines and links and assists and De Bruyne. And I mean, it's just I mean, it's that really made the difference, I thought, in the game. But how many times can they keep doing this, Rob? Can they keep going behind and coming back? I mean, this happened so many times this season.
They have with the big fella up front, mate. If he stays fit, anything's possible.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many they go down then. They can go down 2 or 3 goals.
Anything's possible because it just gives them a whole different option. I mean, their football doesn't have to be that great. They have to work the ball to 25 yards out from goal and cross it in the box. And you do that enough times, the big lads are going to be there.
There'll be days when that doesn't work.
Yeah, and then we're going to need the football.
Then you need the football. It's just whether that will, that's
kick into gear again,
Yeah, because there will be times of that crossing football. There'll be days when the teams head the ball away and they might not score.
And get in.
Yeah, something different.
But, listen,
all right.
I think I'd rather be in their spot with all those options than some of the others, mate. Chelsea would be desperate for a centre forward who can, lead the line and get them a few goals. City certainly got that in abundance, mate. They still, I know you just said, but for you, favourites to win it?
Still? No, there won't be favourites for me because of the defending side of it. There's been too many seasons. I mean, it might be different because they got even more goal power. But I still think that good teams will find ways to, and they possess the ball. Because when teams possess the ball against Man City, City are like in a whole different, like, what's going on here? What's this? And they're a bit dishevelled. I mean, unless they can find settled back 4 and players come back from injury and they can be super strong and secure, they'll win it. No question, but I don't see it right now. Conceded 3 against Newcastle, 1-1 against Villa. They've conceded a few. I know they've blown out people, of course, Forest and a few others. But until
it wasn't their best back 4 there, was it? If you think Stones, Akanji, Ake, and Cancelo, I mean, they're missing defect Laporte, Diaz.
So if they all come back, and
I think the big lad puts them ahead for me. Just what he can do. I think just gives them the edge that they did now. But listen, we'll see, mate. Long way to go in this competition. And you say didn't play brilliant today, but got the best players on the pitch when they mattered, got the right service into the right people and got the 6 points. Just interesting at the end, did you see the picture with Pep and the ref? He ended up getting a yellow card. And so I didn't have a clue what that was or about, or just... Is that Pep's frustration? Sometimes we know it comes out in different ways. Sometimes he'll have a little go with the reporters, or he'll have a little go with the officials, or the opposition. Sometimes he'll criticise the way they played or something.
Yeah, I think it's just the way he is, isn't it? He's super obsessed. He's a bit mad, isn't he? He's a mad professor. I mean, remember the time was it Nathan Redmond after a game?
Southampton,
Southampton player.
Talking to him.
He just gets something in his head about something. You just got to watch his eyes. His eyes like get massive, and he starts going off on one, and you can't calm him down. That's just the way he is, and that's how hungry he is, Robin.
We wouldn't change him, mate. That's what he brings to the Premier League in the way he does. Just a little recap of results from the last couple of days. Inter Milan got a good 2-0 win away from home by Leverkusen. Leverkusen won 2-0 against Atletico Madrid. Eintracht Frankfurt beat Marseille 1-0 in the group. That's Spurs group. That's Spurs group, isn't it? Marseille and Frankfurt, yeah.
And that was Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday,
That is Spurs Group. Yeah, and Wednesday, actually Napoli are flying, mate. Napoli are flying.
Yeah.
Spalletti here, 3-0 away at Glasgow Rangers. And the PSG was interesting, wasn't it? When you get all three of them scoring goals.
3 of them scored, didn't they, the first time, yeah.
I mean, there's, you talk about best strikers and stuff like that, and Mbappe's, what about his flipping, his step over? I mean, how quick is he on he's like Brazilian Ronaldo, quick on the step over, find space, took his goal, and Neymar scores. Messi finishes it off from that brilliant play from. Yeah. So PSG, I mean, when you look at their front players, incredible.
He's lively, isn't he? Neymar, to be fair, Neymar, he's kicked on a bit, hasn't he, this season?
It's an unbelievable.
Ready for the World Cup,
maybe. Yeah, maybe. Brilliant. It's a joy to watch those front three players. Again, let's see if they can get something sorted defensively behind that. Just on a couple other notables, Lewandowski, wasn't it, against his former club? Yeah. Bayern Munich missed some chances. Bayern win 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
Leroy Sané, I remember, was one of the goal scorers. Brilliant player, I think. So that was, again, Bayern's power against Barcelona was evident. Juventus was the other story, Rob. I thought losing at home to Benfica 2-1.
Yeah.
Allegri under pressure at that football club. So there's always stories in this competition. Of course, we can't be totally across all the games, but it's good to see the highlights, the goals, and certain players in form. And I did enjoy the PSG. I know it's only Maccabi Haifa, but wow, those front three players are pretty special.
Yeah, and time to wrap it up, mate. It was a week where I don't think any of the English teams played to their best, but only one defeat for Spurs and City and Liverpool getting narrow victories. We'll be back on September the 18th. We're going to recap match round 8 of the Premier League, look back at all those games. But for now, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.